I gotta say, the new look Caitlin Clark, it's not gonna be good for opponents. It's really not. Like, look at how much bigger she's gotten. Like, yeah, Stephanie White saying Caitlin Clark's gotten stronger. Yeah, Caitlin Clark has gotten stronger.
It repeatedly occurred. Another match, another vicious strike, another referee blind eye. Caitlin Clark has been subjected to harassment, bullying, and open assault on the court, and the individuals in control are just allowing it to continue.
I watched Angel Reese taking on Caitlin Clark, and I gotta tell you, I caught the game in the third quarter, and as I watched the game, it was evident to me, and probably evident to a lot of you if you played or you coached, I know many of you do, that there's a distinct difference between the two teams.
Now that the most recent footage has surfaced, we've never witnessed something so raw and emotional that even Coach Stephanie White couldn't contain her tears. But what exactly happened, and how did we get here? Fasten your seatbelts, because this is where the drama surrounding the Indiana Fever explodes.
Reaction after this controversial foul on Caitlin Clark.
Unnecessary.
Clark's Indiana Fever taking on the Chicago Sky on Saturday. The Sky's Kennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday...
Let's face it, rookies in the WNBA have always had to fight for respect, but Caitlin Clark's situation is something else entirely. Since she first took the court, she has been the target of shoves, full-on assaults, and heaped shots that ought to be automatic flagrant fouls, and the referees have just watched it happen. What did the WNBA veteran say? Quote, "Oh, that's simply a part of the game. She's a rookie, so she needs to earn her spot. This is how things have always been." Yes, name a player who has ever had to endure even a small portion of what Caitlin Clark is going through. The reality is that nobody has, and that's when you realize that basketball isn't the same game anymore.
Personally received 17% of the flagrant fouls called. Literally, she's been fouled on flagrant fouls. 17% of them have been against her personally. We spoke about the Cheryl Swoop situation. We've spoke about the numbers, the ratings. We've spoken about the resentment that Caitlin Clark has been receiving, not by most, not by all, but by, to be quite honest, too many. If you had your druthers moving forward, looking at the rest of this WNBA season, looking at the state of women's basketball moving forward, what's your wish and what needs to happen in order for your wish to be achieved and fulfilled? Last word is yours.
Well, what you just said is true. 17%, that's five of those fouls of 32 have been on Caitlin Clark. That's where we get the 17% from. And those were earlier in the season. And I think she's passed the physicality test. By the way, pace, space, it will out-trump physicality every day of the week, like when the Mavericks won the championship in 2011 and they had Jason Kidd and they were playing Miami and LeBron, and no matter how good, how fast, how athletic, how high you jump.
When Diana Taurasi threw an elbow flagrant foul, Brittany Griner was hit right away, but Caitlin Clark was slammed to the ground. There was silence and nothing happened. It seemed as though there were two sets of rules, one for everyone else and one for Caitlin Clark. But why, since this is about more than just basketball?
Harassed by Carrington, finds Boston. Clark gets hit in the face by Carrington and is down. Caitlin Clark is down, no call as Connecticut takes advantage, and Clark is still down after taking a shot.
The referees aren't just permitting physical play. They're enforcing an unwritten rule that Bat says Caitlin Clark deserves this because of who she is. This is where things get really dark. The WNBA wants you to think that this is just tough rookie treatment, but let's face it, this is straight up political. Look at who is fouling her. Look at who is getting hit. And it's acceptable to make crude remarks about Caitlin Clark as long as you're with the right people.
One-on-one, Sammy Whitcomb with 8 seconds left. Goes around to Gumake, drives baseline, and shot rejected by Izzy McMagor. Second opportunity is up and in by Nalissa Smith.
Caitlin Clark is a symbol to some people in this league, And as such, the referees aren't protecting her, which is why players are getting away with it. This is why the most recent footage is so tragic. It follows one of the hardest hits yet, but Caitlin Clark was fouled again after a vicious shove that sent her crashing to the ground without a call. And as she got up, you could see it in her face: frustration, exhaustion, and disbelief.
New reaction after this controversial foul on Caitlin Clark.
Unnecessary.
Clark's Indiana Fever taking on the Chicago Sky on Saturday. The Sky's Kennedy Carter hitting a shot, then heading over to Clark and shoulder checking her. The refs called it a common foul, but the league yesterday.
However, the true moment that came from Coach Stephanie White was when she lost it for the first time. You could see the emotion, the helplessness, the anger, and the realization that this is more than just basketball. It was evident at that point that enough was enough. So what will happen next? Will the WNBA finally intervene? Will the referees begin to call the game fairly? Or is this the start of something even worse? Caitlin Clark isn't going anywhere, and they were completely mistaken if they believed they could break her.
Me, I. And here's the thing about Reese. Players are smart. Really smart. Players see what's going on here, the ones on her own team. Down 25, the coach is keeping her in the game to get 2 rebounds to get a double-double, or get 3 points to get a double-double. Players look at that and they under-eye, they side-eye, they're like, that's crap. And the media's falling for it, right? I mean, look, I saw yesterday, Stephen A. Smith said, Caitlin Clark is the Rookie of the Year. Oh, my ass. All you had to do was watch that game last night. One's a lumbering, stumbling, bumbling me person, and the other's a baller. B-A-L-L-er. Baller. And one of the reasons...
Because she has carried the league with her since the beginning, and she will always get back up after being knocked down.
And, it's one of those things where you've got Caitlin Clark, a player who, as great as she was not physically strong last season. We can admit that. Like, she was not the most physically strong player in the world. And she still had one of the better rookie seasons ever.
What happens when a player is harassed, shoved, and beaten up on the court all the time? They have 2 options: either break under the pressure or rise above it. After being slammed to the ground too many times, Caitlin Clark decided it was time to go to the gym. We're not just talking about regular team workouts, though. Caitlin has taken it to the next level with strength training, conditioning, and endurance work. She's locked in. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about dominance. She's bulking up, packing on lean muscle, strengthening her core, and developing the kind of power that will make defenders think twice before attempting to knock her down again. And the outcome is beyond impressive.
The Caitlin Clark effect is not dying. I don't feel like we have seen a dip in just, how do I even put this into words? Just how much people care about Caitlin Clark, care about what she's doing. She has not touched a basketball court. We've seen one workout video from the Indiana Fever. We have not seen her play for however many months. People are still so tapped in and tuned into her life, tuned into the Indiana Fever, tuned into all the Indiana Fever's moves. I felt like there was a moment in time, there was a week where all this free agency stuff was happening, and it was so exciting. And I cannot remember at any point in time where there was a moment like that in the WNBA where people were just locked in, what is this team going to do? Where is this player going to go? And they captured the fans during this offseason. And I feel like this second season, her second season in the league, the second year for the Indiana Fever when they're at this stage, it's probably just going to get bigger. They've already announced that the games played in Chicago are going to be played at the NBA arena. So they're already starting to move to different arenas when they go into these smaller cities. And I just don't see the Caitlin Clark effect, the growth of women's basketball slowing down.
The WNBA's roughest players took advantage of CIN's skill vision and deep 3-point shooting when she first entered the league because, let's face it, she was thin and a finesse player in a league that values brute force. Knowing that she wasn't physically on par with them, they shoved, pulled, elbowed, and slammed her to the ground. However, Stephanie White has since been witnessing Caitlin's transformation, and the results are indisputable. Caitlin Clark, who joined the WNBA as a rookie, is no longer an easy target because of her dedication to strength training. Coach White has been outspoken about how Caitlin isn't just taking hits anymore, she's delivering them right back. Her endurance has increased, her explosiveness is sharper, her defensive stance is firmer, and most importantly, she has the stamina to go toe-to-toe with any rogue player. The players who attempted to intimidate her with cheap shots and hard bowls are in for a rude awakening because Caitlin isn't backing down anymore and is now fighting back.
Like, everyone's talking about how much stronger Caitlin Clark's gotten. Like, it is just factually a thing. And look at the size difference in 1 year? So you're now looking at a player that is just a tank. You're looking at a player who's big, who's strong, who's who's going to be able to continue to do everything she's doing. Like, she's not too big, which is obviously a big thing. If she was too big, then you'd be a little bit worried, but she's not too big. She is obviously going to be a lot stronger, but now you're looking at a situation where she's going to be one of the not stronger guards in WNBA, but she's going to be strong enough on the defensive end that's going to help her.
And it's not.
The real kicker, Caitlin Clark, now has the biceps to match. You heard that right. The days of being physically outmatched are over. She is stronger, tougher, and prepared to go to war every single game. It's not just about handling contact. It's about winning those battles. When a defender tries to body her up, she holds her ground and pushes back sharply.
The reason why it was so hard to hide Caitlin Clark on defense is that she's not very good at guarding point guards, and you can't really put her guarding small forwards, just purely because, guarding small forwards purely because they're just physically bigger than she is, and she was getting posted up a lot. They were attacking her on the inside. They were getting her on switches.
Caitlin Clark received a message from the WNBA for months that said, "You don't belong here. You're not tough enough. You're not one of us." Well, guess what? She heard it clearly, and now she's sending one back. This isn't just about surviving anymore. It's about taking over Caitlin Clark. 2.0 is here, and the next time a so-called veteran believes they can knock her down, they might end up hitting the floor instead. From the moment the Indiana Beavers selected Caitlin Clark in the draft, it was obvious that they weren't just selecting a player. Rather, they were creating a future around her. She wasn't brought in as just another scorer or role player. Rather, they saw her as the focal point of a project that would redefine the Indiana Fever and have a big impact in the WNBA, and now that vision is becoming a reality thanks to a roster that has been strategically improved to complement her abilities. The Indiana Fever's front staff made bold decisions this offseason, bringing in seasoned players through free agency with the strategic goal of bringing out the best Caitlin Clark. Among the noteworthy acquisitions is Dananna Boner, a two-time WNBA champion and 15-year veteran. Bringing a wealth of experience and versatility to the club, Bonner's ability to play a variety of positions and spread the floor gives Caitlin a consistent scoring option, as well as guidance through the league's obstacles. Powerhouse X defensive unit is returning to the Fever with her defensive skills and championship mentality. Howard, a three-time WNBA champion and previous Defensive Player of the Year, is a tremendous commodity that makes Caitlin a formidable teammate on both ends of the court.
Had never seen in this league's history. Helped guide Connecticut to the semifinals where they've been each of the last 5 years, and Bonner trying to help Connecticut separate.
Additionally, Sophie Cunningham was obtained in a trade. Cunningham complements Caitlin perfectly because of her steady three-point shooting and great basketball IQ, which assists to spread the floor and generate offensive possibilities.
Well, this is what makes this team so tough. You look at Big Sil inside, Sylvia Fowles and Shepard. Nice pass to Sophie Cunningham.
Taurasi, baseline jumper. This is everything, but Sophie Cunningham.
Cunningham, who has 10 years of expertise, the leadership and playmaking skills of Sydney Carlson provide the Fever's backcourt depth, and her presence guarantees that the team's poise and calm are preserved even while Caitlin is off the field.
Sydney Colson into the game in the high post. She gets them to the floor. I think we're starting to see that team again. And there's Colson, another steal.
These tactical additions weren't made at random. Each player was picked to build on Caitlin Clark's strengths and strengthen the team's past weaknesses, resulting in a formidable and well-balanced roster. However, it's not only about how the team helps Caitlin, it's also about how Caitlin elevates the team as a whole. With Natasha Howard anchoring the defense, Caitlin can put more pressure on opposing guards knowing she has a solid defensive backbone behind her. However, Caitlin's long shooting range forces defenses to extend, giving players like Dananna Boner and Sophie Cunningham more room to operate effectively. Currently, the presence of seasoned players like Sydney Cusson gives Caitlin mentorship, assisting her in navigating the complexities of the professional game and speeding up her development as a leader. Dee Terasai has 48 triples entering the game. Logo Clark with a deep three the basketball from deeper in this league. Caitlin is more than simply a scorer. She is also a leader, a catalyst, and the impetus behind the return of Indiana Fever.
Diana Taurasi has 48 triples coming into the game.
Logo! Clark with a deep three.
The basketball from deeper in this league right now.
And Caitlin Clark leading the team and a squad carefully crafted to maximize her potential, the Indiana Fever, who were for years in a rebuilding period and frequently disregarded and undervalued, are now contenders rather than just participants.
She's sitting over there not happy with that, bringing her in. However, having said that, it all changed. All of a sudden, we're what? We're getting the ball more? Kelsey Mitchell's getting the ball more? Wait a second. When you're open, she finds you? Wait a second. She'll throw it ahead to you? Wait a second. Let me ask you a question. When's the last time you saw Caitlin Clark in transition pull up from the logo? You're right, you haven't. Why? Selfish play in the pros. College, it's cool, college, whatever. In the pros, everybody, again, I go to the under eye, the side eye. What the hell are you doing? I mean, that's you don't see that anymore, do you? No. You see about as good a point guard play as there is currently in basketball, and I'm including the Euros, I'm including the NBA, I'm including high school, college, whatever you want to talk about. And then, oh, by the way, she gets 25 herself. And oh, by the way, the other team, the Chicago Sky, embarrassed themselves last night with the old, hey, we may lose the game, but we're going to win the fight mentality late. That's like Gary, Indiana, when we used to play Gary Roosevelt or Gary Westside. Hey, Dodgers, we may lose the game, but we're going to kick your ass after.
The double standards and physical play, the message is clear. The Indiana Fever are back, and Caitlin Clark is the cornerstone of their master plan. The WNBA should take notice. Do you think the Indiana Fever's strategic acquisitions will unleash Caitlin Clark's full potential and propel the team to championship contention? The rough fouls won't deter this team, which is built not just to withstand challenges, but to overcome and dominate. For more in-depth WNBA coverage and updates, leave a comment with your ideas, click the like button, and subscribe.